The women's sprint events at the Commonwealth Games represented a rare convergence of legacy and transition, where established dominance from Jamaica collided with the emergence of a new force in Nigeria through Blessing Okagbare. From a performance analysis perspective, the 100 meters final was decided within the first 40 meters. Okagbare's start phase showed clear superiority, not in raw reaction time, but in transition efficiency. Her drive phase remained low and controlled for longer than most of the field, which allowed her to convert horizontal force into acceleration more effectively. While Veronica Campbell-Brown relied on her traditional mid-phase speed build, Okagbare had already created separation before maximum velocity was reached, between 40 and 70 meters. Okagbare's stride pattern became decisive. Her stride length combined with frequency stability created a velocity curve that did not plateau early, unlike Campbell-Brown, who typically excels in late race mechanics. The Nigerian maintained relaxation under pressure, which is critical at elite-level sprinting, because tension often reduces efficiency. This is where the race was effectively won, not at the line, but in the maintenance phase. The 10:85 result must be contextualized beyond the time itself. It was achieved without visible deceleration, which indicates reserve capacity. Biomechanically, her upright running phase was balanced with minimal vertical oscillation, suggesting optimal force application and energy conservation. Campbell-Brown's 11.03 reflects a strong closing segment, but insufficient early positioning, a recurring tactical limitation when facing faster starters. The absence of Michelle Lee altered lane dynamics and psychological pressure distribution. Without a second aggressive starter, Okagbare faced less immediate competition in the acceleration phase, which allowed her to execute her race model without disruption. However, this does not diminish the performance, because execution under championship pressure remains the primary variable. Transitioning to the 200 meters, the analytical focus shifts from pure acceleration to speed endurance and curve mechanics. Okagbare's bend running was controlled rather than aggressive. She avoided overstriding, which is a common error that leads to loss of balance exiting the curve. Instead, she positioned herself within striking distance, conserving energy for the final 80 meters. The presence of Jody Williams and Anisha McLaughlin forced a different race structure. Unlike the 100 meters where Okagbare dominated early, here she had to respond dynamically. Her transition off the bend into the straight was technically clean, hips high, ground contact short, allowing for efficient reacceleration, which is often the decisive moment in 200-meter finals. The final 50 meters highlighted her competitive maturity. Rather than tightening under pressure, she extended her stride while maintaining rhythm. This is a key indicator of elite sprint endurance. Many athletes lose frequency when attempting to increase length, but Okagbare balanced both, resulting in the 22.25 finish, which, while not a record, was tactically superior, given the race context. From a comparative standpoint, her double victory places her within a specific category of sprinters, who can combine explosive 100-meter capability with controlled 200-meter execution. This duality is rare because it requires both neuromuscular explosiveness and metabolic resilience. Historically, athletes tend to specialize, yet Okagbare demonstrated adaptability across both models. The psychological dimension cannot be ignored. Championship racing differs fundamentally from circuit racing. The ability to replicate or exceed semifinal performance in a final is often the defining trait of champions. Okagbare not only replicated but improved her execution, indicating a stable competitive mindset and effective pre-race preparation strategy. Her victories also carried broader structural implications for global sprinting. Nigeria's success disrupted the traditional binary of USA and Jamaica dominance, creating a more multipolar sprint landscape. This had downstream effects on talent development in Africa, where her performance became a reference point for what is achievable at the highest level. In terms of technical profiling, Okagbare's strengths can be summarized as efficient acceleration mechanics, superior stride optimization, and high-level relaxation under maximal velocity conditions. Her weaknesses historically included inconsistency across rounds, but Glasgow demonstrated a temporary resolution of that issue through controlled execution. The legacy of this performance is not defined solely by medals, but by the manner of victory. She did not rely on errors from competitors or external conditions. Instead, she imposed her race model in both events, a hallmark of dominant athletes. This distinction is critical when evaluating long-term impact versus isolated success. Looking forward, the Glasgow model provides a template for analyzing emerging sprinters. Early phase dominance combined with composure in transition phases, and the ability to sustain form under fatigue remains the benchmark. Okagbare's execution in 2014 aligns closely with these principles, making it a case study in championship sprinting efficiency. Ultimately, the Glasgow performance represents a peak alignment of physical condition, technical execution, and psychological readiness. Such alignment is rare and often short-lived, which is why it stands out in sprint history. Okagbare did not just win races. She controlled them from a systems perspective, dictating pace structure, phase, distribution, and competitive response. That level of control is what separates champions from contenders. What further elevates Okagbare's Glasgow performance is the consistency of her force application across rounds, something that often separates medalists from champions in short sprint championships. Many athletes demonstrate peak output in either semifinals or finals, but struggle to replicate the same neuromuscular sharpness within a 24-hour cycle. Okagbare maintained a remarkably stable output profile, suggesting not only optimal conditioning, but also efficient recovery protocols and controlled energy expenditure in earlier rounds. Her race distribution in the 100 meters also reflects an advanced understanding of phase prioritization. Rather than overcommitting to reaction time, which can introduce instability, she emphasized a clean push phase with progressive rise mechanics. This allowed her to enter maximal velocity without disruption, a key factor in preserving top-end speed. In contrast, athletes who chase explosive starts often compromise their transition, leading to earlier deceleration. Okagbare avoided this entirely, which is why her race looked smooth rather than forced. Another critical detail lies in her upper body mechanics. Throughout both finals, her arm carriage remained compact and synchronized with lower body turnover. There was no excessive lateral movement, meaning all generated force was directed efficiently forward. This level of technical discipline under pressure indicates high-level motor pattern automation, something that can only be developed through years of elite training and competition exposure. In the 200 meters, her ability to manage centrifugal force on the curve was particularly important. Running the bend requires not only speed, but also spatial awareness and balance. Okagbare leaned into the curve without collapsing her posture, maintaining alignment between head, hips, and foot strike. This ensured that she exited the bend with minimal loss of velocity, effectively setting up the final straight where races are typically decided. The closing phase of the 200 meters further demonstrated her fatigue resistance. Instead of a visible drop in cadence, which is common in the final 30 meters, she preserved stride frequency while subtly increasing stride length. This suggests that her lactate tolerance and neuromuscular endurance were at a level that allowed her to sustain near maximal output even as metabolic stress increased. It is precisely this ability that defines successful 200-meter specialists. From a tactical standpoint, Okagbare's awareness of her competitors was also evident. She did not react prematurely to moves from adjacent lanes, which can often disrupt rhythm. Instead, she trusted her race plan and only committed fully in the final phase. This composure under pressure is often underestimated but plays a decisive role in championship settings where margins are minimal. Her Glasgow double also serves as a case study in how versatility can be leveraged strategically. By excelling in both the 100 and 200 meters, she forced competitors to adapt to her rather than the opposite. This psychological edge cannot be quantified in time alone, but is visible in how races unfold. Opponents are more likely to deviate from optimal execution when facing an athlete perceived as dominant across multiple events. In broader performance terms, Okagbare's execution in Glasgow reflects a near-complete integration of sprinting variables, start efficiency, acceleration mechanics, maximal velocity maintenance, curve running, and finish phase resilience. Few athletes achieve such balance simultaneously, which is why her performance remains analytically significant. This was not simply a peak moment, but a demonstration of what happens when technical precision aligns with competitive intent. Glasgow did not just confirm Okagbare as a champion, it provided a blueprint of elite sprint execution under championship conditions, one where control, efficiency, and timing converged to produce dominance rather than just victory.